Good morning, Vibe Tribe. Happy Friday. We made it another week. Well, it's not really because it's another week, right? There's still how many more of a year. Anyways, today we're going to start our day with our gratitude. Remember, we start every day with gratitude, something that we are grateful for, something that inspired us in the last 24 to 36 hours. Even if it's something as simple as getting up to watch the sunrise, you guys, being grateful to start your day is how we roll. I know I'm grateful that I remembered to message Nickole yesterday because I was like, I'm supposed to do something right now. And I'm like, oh, message Nickole. Yeah, that's where my brain is at these days, guys. I'm sorry. For that, I'm super grateful. And for poor Sky, like she gets a lot of my memory some days. Remind me to do this, remind me to do that. That's her Facebook Messenger these days. So for those things, I'm very grateful for. Also, like my husband being able to come home safely last night after a few accidents at his work. So I'm super glad he came home with 10 fingers and 10 toes, guys. Like that's my main thing. Like you come home all in one piece, please. Like if there's a couple of scratches, I'll deal with that, but like no missing limbs. I love you, but I need all of your limbs. So for that, we are grateful for Vibe Tribe news, you guys. Check your email because free shipping was announced. The Halloween version. It's from yesterday and or no, today, yesterday until the 31st. Um, so make sure you are reaching out to those customers. Even if they did order, maybe they want free shipping and will pause an auto ship. Maybe sharing this out will get you that extra $200 sale and push you to your next rank achievement, whatever your goals are, you guys. So make sure we are doing that. Miss Nickole, I'm gonna mute and let you talk and inspire the crap out of all of us because, well, we haven't heard from you in a hot minute.
Okay, I'll do my best. Good morning, everyone. I know you wanted me to talk about consistency. That's probably the most important thing about what we do is being consistent. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me if you don't know who I am. I've been with Lavelle for a little over 5 years. I started off of a 3-day sample, and I literally told my person that our product was crap and that I didn't want to use it. And then she convinced me, because I'm one of those people, if you challenge me to do something, I'm going to prove you wrong, or at least try to. And instead of proving her wrong, she proved me right. And here I am a little over 5 years later. Where consistency has come into key, like just, I guess, in my whole life, is if you want something, you have to consistently strive for it. This was not something that I knew I wanted 5 years ago. I actually didn't start truly working the business until I was about a year and a half in. And the reason being was I was a hairdresser. I did hair for almost 18 years, and I was content doing what I was doing. Thought that's what I was going to do for the rest of my adult life. And that's like, it just completely changed in May of 2018. I went through a restructure at work. Wasn't sure I was even going to have a job after 18 years because we were getting bought out by people. And I was a promoter the whole time, but didn't, like I said, actually start promoting. Like, don't get me wrong, I got my product for free. I hit the first rank in the company in the first year, and then I kind of like just snulled out because I was doing what I needed to just continue to get my product for free. Didn't really want to work it as a business. But I was being consistent because I was maintaining the 4K for the whole year, and thriving for free. And then life, I won't even say life happened, a tragedy happened. But right before that happened, I hit 12K. I went on my first lifestyle getaway, hit 12K, and my promoter basically told me when all this restructure happened at my job, she was like, work your Thrive business. And I had that misconception that like, oh, that's for you. That's not for me. This is never going to work for me like it does for you. And she literally said, work it for 6 weeks the way I've been telling you to do it for the last year. Listen to me. That's key. Listen to your person that gets you involved or your upline, whoever that may be. Actually listen to what they're telling you because there is proof that the stuff that they tell you to do actually works. So I did, and I hit 12K. Um, we were in San Diego, and I actually didn't hit 12K in San Diego. I hit it the next, well, it was in San Diego, but it was the next day because Shanann knew if you challenge me to something or you make me say something, I'm going to do it. So what a lot of people don't know is there's a video where I hit 12K and I am crying because I knew it was going to happen. I was about $1,000 away from it. But I hate it. It'll literally, that's how much it top where we were staying. The, like, and then I had to do it. I had no choice. Like this happened, so it was happening. I hit it about 8 hours later, so it did happen like within the next 24 hours. But it was one of those moments of like, what did you just do? um, so I have continued to maintain it since then. And then in August of 2018, if you guys do or don't know her, she passed away. Um, and that was really hard. And in that moment, I had to make a choice. Was I going to continue doing what I built and what she taught me to do, or was I going to walk away from it all? And I got sprung into something I never thought would ever happen. Um, I was put in the light of social, or not social media, but just media in general. We were dealing with a bunch of stuff. I found out I was pregnant during that time. I miscarried. um, it was just a whirlwind of hell. But what I found normal was thrive in my business. So I like threw myself into it because it was the only thing that was normal and consistent. Like my house was chaos, life was chaos, everything was chaos, but it was creating consistency and normalcy in mine and my family's life. So I made the choice to work the business. Um, and I've actually had to do that multiple times in the last 5 years. 4 months after that, I lost my mother. She's my grandmother, but she's who raised me. So she passed away. Then we found out we were pregnant with Jackson. And the reason I'm telling you all this is because we can come up with all of the excuses and we all have a story, but the whole time I shared it, even though I literally hate sharing because I knew there was somebody else out there probably going through something similar in some cases, and that's why I've continued to share. Like if you go look at my Facebook, yeah, people know I sell Thrive, but they actually have gotten to know me as a person. I literally had a lady message me yesterday and was like, I found you on YouTube and I want to start the product because you shared your cancer story. So I got pregnant with Jackson in February of 2019, had him September of 2019. He had a heart defect and we almost lost him when he was 10 days old. He's fine now. Now we call him the tiny terrorist. But a month after he was born, I got diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And talk about wanting to give up. However, again, this created consistency in my life and normalcy through a time that was mad chaos. Like it was minimum 7 doctor's appointments a week, up to 15 or 20. I literally had to restart her. Like it was crazy. And having a newborn on top of it. Um, I'm a mom of 4. My oldest will be 21 in December, and then I have a 15-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 3-year-old. Um, so it was all of that on top of everything else that was going on, and then I got cancer. And again, I could have made the choice, and everybody would have not said a word to me if I would have walked away at that point. And I didn't. I started to make the decision to share my cancer story. I shared it loud. I shared it proud. I didn't thrive for, I had to stop thriving, and I didn't thrive for almost 18 months. And I still promoted this product every single day. And I was very open and honest that I was not thriving and why I wasn't thriving. So, do you have to be a product of the product? Yes. But you still have a story, even if there's a reason why you can't do some things. And I feel like in this business, we have to share what we love about it, because I tried to, for the first year, sell it because it's my nature. I know how to sell things. Um, and I couldn't sell Thrive. Like I literally couldn't. It just didn't naturally come to me when I was trying to do it the first year. Um, but now I'm consistent. Like I set a block or a time every single day. I get up before my kids. I go to bed after my children. I literally will set timers to load the dishwasher. And if it doesn't get done in that time slot, then it doesn't get done that day. Because am I busy? No, it's normal, but like we get sidetracked. If you any of you have children, a job, whatever, a spouse, it doesn't matter. There's little things that can come in the way. And it's whether you, I call it a choice, make the choice to make certain things a priority, because you can if you want to. You can get there if you want to. Um, I recently have started sharing more of my story because I had, 36 years of life before Thrive. I'm a domestic violence survivor. I've recently started sharing that and helping women understand that they can leave if they choose to. And sometimes I get that that's not a choice and you're really deep and really stuck and it feels that way, but you can take baby steps to do anything. So, um, I definitely work the business consistently. I'll be honest. Do I do it as much as I probably should? No, otherwise I'd be 200K. um, but I'm working on it. But life happens. Like, and you make the choice every single day whether you're going to get up and work this business or do whatever it is that your goals are in life. I didn't have goals really before Thrive. It was like, okay, I made it to adulthood. My kids are alive. Like, we're doing good. And after going and seeing some of the things that I have seen that Lavelle has given us, it makes me want more. Not because I want more financially, but I just want more out of life. Um, During my cancer journey, it changed everything for me because I almost died a couple times. I wasn't sure I was actually going to actually make it through everything. Um, so it kind of changed the perspective of like what I wanted out of it, what I wanted to show my kids were possible, because I grew up in a very small town. Um, Literally, the people that I went to school with, 90% of them still live in this small town. And if you live in a small town, this is nothing against you, but like, there literally is more out there in the world that you can go do and see and experience and do it. Like, if it's on your bucket list, find a way to do it and show your kids that it's possible, because the difference that I see in my older two children versus my younger two are night and day difference. The traumas that the older two went through because of the relationships and the things that I chose in life versus what I choose for my younger two. Like, I'm still the same mom, but I react to things differently now. And it's amazing the difference that it has made in their lives and the way that they have flipped the narrative for them. My oldest is a high school dropout. Fortunately, his senior year was the year that COVID happened, and he refused to go to school, and that was the choice that he made. He's doing pretty good in the sense of life, and he supports himself. He doesn't live at home or anything like that, but he's struggling, and he's the one that can change that narrative. Like, I tell him every day, like, don't get me wrong, he's a little bit ruthless and he'll do what he needs to do in the sense of like for himself, but I don't think he would be that way had he not gone through the things that he's gone through. like the kid's resilient. And then the younger two, like they want so much and they're only 7 and 3. Maybe not the 3-year-old so yet because he doesn't really know, but the 7-year-old, she's like, oh no, she has big dreams and she's only 7. Like I never talked about that stuff when I was little. I didn't even think about it. And to think like how you can change the narrative in your life or your kid's life just by what you're showing them that you're doing, it can be monumental for them later in life. My 15-year-old wants to be a doctor. I never thought that would even come out of her mouth. Like she's doing pre-med classes, she's on all AP classes, and it's just crazy to see the difference had I stayed where I was 9 years ago versus where I'm at today. Um, so I don't know if this is helping you guys. I don't know if this is what you wanted. um, as far as the business goes, though, like it's consistency. I work it every single day, whether it's 5 minutes that day because life happened, or sometimes I'm in this room for 8 hours. Like literally, the dog will come in, the kids will come in, I'll go out and get them something, or I'll come back in. It really depends on what's going on. Um, I don't know. It's also early, and I'm not normally up this early, so.
Yeah, great. I applaud you for that. And thank you for sharing your story because I know I've heard your story and I know a lot of these guys haven't. And if you've read the chats, like you've touched some of them. And I know you showing up even when you had cancer was hard for you. And yet you still did it every day. How did you manage to do that? Like,
Like I said, it was what was creating normalcy and chaos. Um, I I couldn't do much. um, so when I was coherent, and I say that because cancer and chemo and all of that really messes with your brain. Before cancer, I had a photographic memory and my husband hated it. I absolutely loved it because I was one of those people. I didn't have to study for a test. I would just read it and remember it. Um, when we would get in fights, he would be really upset because I'd be like, on July 4th in 20, 19, you said this at this time. Absolutely hated it. Well, that wasn't the case when I got, and this is, I guess, where the consistency came into play. When I started doing chemo, that completely went away. I couldn't even remember conversations I was having with people. Like I had to take very detailed notes in the moments because, and it still happens sometimes, I have to talk to somebody now at least 5 to 10 times before I even remember who they are. Like I'll literally have a full-blown conversation and they'll message me like 2 days later and I'm like, who is this person? I have no idea who it is. Um, like I said, I just finished treatment last year, but I'm like, I'm still suffering from chemo brain. It's worse than pregnancy brain. Didn't even know that, like, but um, I don't know that I don't want to say that I saw much of my family. I was here, but I definitely wasn't present. But this is like what would bring me back, if that makes any sense. Um, because those drugs are really hard on your body. um, so that's what I did. I took very, very, very detailed notes. I do that still to this day. Like I can remember better, but like I tell people up front, like I may or may not remember you. I will forget messages. Please message me if you don't hear from me in 24 hours. Please remind me if you haven't, like, if I'm supposed to send out a sample, I'm like, if you don't get a tracking number from me in 24 hours, I need you to message me and say you didn't send me your tracking number because I'm just very precise with my customers on what I need from them to be the promoter that they want me to be for them. Because if not, it wouldn't happen. And I'm like I said, I'm just very upfront and honest with them, like the whole situation. I tell everybody about my cancer journey. I tell them I didn't use the product. I tell them that the Thrive, what Thrive did to me for me prior to having cancer is completely different than what it does for me now. Um, I feel like being open and honest to your customers and or your promoters about like what they want out of the product, what they're looking for to achieve from it, all of it, like they can have all of the things, but they have to actually do what you're asking them to do when it comes from the product standpoint. Um, I feel that's the number one reason why people say our product doesn't work is because they don't take it correctly or they don't drink enough water. And I know it's like, you know, beating a dead horse when we say that, but 90% of the time that's the reason. Um,
Um, One thing, guys, I want you to either write this down or put this in your memory. Nickole even said it herself. I wasn't listening to what my upline was telling me. And when I
I wasn't.
started doing it for the 6 weeks she challenged me to, my whole business changed. I was
It
the
did.
same way.
Yeah, no, so because I have the hairdresser background, because I could sell, um, I worked in a salon where we did $500,000 in sales. We were owned by corporate and it was a chain salon, but I literally could sell product to a bald man. I say that jokingly, but I'm not. I literally would talk them into shampoo because they would say they were using bar soap on their head. And if you're bald, you should not use bar soap on your head.
No.
But I had no problem selling things or upselling colors or whatnot. So when Thrive came in, I tried going at it from that standpoint, a selling standpoint, and you literally can't sell it. It'll sell itself if you share the experience of what it's doing for you and for others. Um, I probably didn't understand that in the beginning and I struggled. Like I said, hit the first rank. That wasn't an issue, but like then I plateaued for a year. Um, and I wasn't doing the three-way phone calls or chats. I wasn't connecting people. I was word vomiting on everybody. I couldn't even tell you how much product I gave away in my first year because I just wanted everybody to feel the way that I felt. Um, and I thought, oh, I tried a 3-day sample. I was stubborn. If it worked for me in 3 days, it's going to work for everybody. And that's not the case. Um, I literally tell people now, I did a call with a couple last night. I tell them, I will send you a sample, but I hate sampling. And she was like, why? And I'm all, because you may or may not feel something. And then you prejudge the product because you didn't feel it right away. Most of the time people feel it in a 3-day trial, but it also depends on, are they drinking enough water? Did they take it correctly? All of these things go into play. And that's where it's very important that if you're not connecting people, even if it's in a 3-way chat, it doesn't have to be a phone call. We live in a new time and era where people don't like to talk on the phone. But like even to this day, 5 years later, I still turn around and put whoever I'm talking to. I may have the phone conversation with them by myself, but I will turn around and, are you leaving? I love you. You're drinking vanilla? I know you don't want chocolate. Okay.
Phew, I'm glad I'm not alone. You sure you don't want that other flavor?
He usually drinks chocolate or fudge brownie, but whatever. Anyways, um, I always put him in a 3-way chat with someone that is going to resonate with them. So I very much talk to my customers and find out like the why they want to use the product. And then it's very important to get to know either your uplines or your side sisters. It does not have to be your upline. I can tell you mine isn't here anymore. So I had to very much get to know the rest of the people on my team to dissect like who I was going to send to who I was going to talk to who. And I literally know now, like, oh, this person has these health challenges. They're going to talk to this person. This person's having this issue or want weight loss. They're going to talk to this person. Like, literally, you have someone somewhere within Lavelle that will actually talk to the people about where their challenges are and where they're at. And it's meeting people where they're at. So when I talk to somebody, I then turn around and put them, even if I've had the phone conversation, I'll put them in a chat and say, hey, so and so, this is my friend Molly. I wanted to connect you to make sure you got all your questions answered. It's been 5 years and I still do that because people want community. They really do. And we're lonely. We live in a world where COVID happened and people just need to connect with people. As much as they say they don't want it, they really do. Because here's the thing, if you connect them with someone else, they may not be telling you what they really want. They'll tell someone they don't even know their whole life story. Like legit. So
Does anyone have any questions for Nickole in the chat? You guys can unmute because I know like we don't get Nickole very often. I think this is like the third Vibe Tribe Zoom I've seen her on in 2.5 years.
I get on them all the time secretly if I wake up early enough.
Oh, secretly. Good to know. Good to know.
I mean, I'm on there. I'm just not like pictured.
Right? I feel that. Um, is there anything from anyone? Because like I don't know, like because next week we have hold up. Ah, where'd I put the clipboard? Is this over yet? Like I need a brain, guys. I need a new brain. I'm done. Next week we were supposed to have a guest on Monday. We are just gonna have open chat. Wednesday we have Scarla. I'm gonna say her last name wrong. Scravi.
She's amazing.
And then we have Krista Purdy. And then from now on out, we have some pretty amazing leaders. We have Lindsay Dickens Rosler, Lydia Lawless, or Lydia Laws, Ashley Mosey, Amber Manquest, Lydia Kyle, Andrea, and Katie, Shaylin, Star, Sky, Kayla. We have some amazing leaders. And guys, I've already started filling January and it's only October.
Hey, that's not a bad thing. I love that you guys are ahead of the game.
I'm a green personality. What do you guys expect me to do? And God knows if I'll be able to remember my own name come next week. So, um, if that is everything, you guys, we're gonna stop this recording. If anyone wants to hang out, hang out. If not, I will see you guys bright and early Monday morning